Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is D-Man coming back at it again with another YouTube video, and today, for the first time in our franchise's history, we have two wide receivers ranked in the top 10 according to ESPN. So, we see A.J. Brown on the left. We see Julio Jones on the right. Where do they fall? That's the question y'all are probably asking. You already know they're in the top 10. Well, A.J. Brown is actually at number 10. Now, this doesn't surprise me. It was going to be... I thought for sure he needed to be in the top 10. I think he should be in the top 10. But it's still a question mark whether or not A.J. Brown would have been in the top 10, just because, there's a lot of good wide receivers in the league. And he actually came in tied at number 10 with Calvin Ridley. And then it ultimately came down to a tiebreaker. And what they did is they went back to the people who decided this top 10. Now, these guys are the same people that did this. I did the video yesterday on Derrick Henry, on him being the best running back in the league. The same type of voting happened. They went and asked coaches, executives, GMs, players, all those big dogs up there to rank their top 10 list, and then basically they averaged it out and put the players where they belonged according to those coaches, executives, GMs, players. But like I said, A.J. Brown was tied with Calvin Ridley. What they did is they went back to those who made the list and asked them basically who's better, A.J. Brown or Calvin Ridley. And then based on that, A.J. Brown won the tiebreaker, and he is at that number 10 spot. So he barely comes in the top 10, which I think he definitely should be in the top 10 in my opinion. On the right, we have Julio Jones, who comes in at number 5. So he, according to the people that I've mentioned, Julio Jones is believed to be the 5th best wide receiver in the league. And actually, a fun fact, last year, he was actually the best. He was ranked the best wide receiver in the NFL last year. The same, I think it was ESPN as well. So he did drop 4 spots, obviously, probably due to the injury, him only playing I think 9 games the past season. So, that's tough, but Julio Jones is still Julio Jones, and we know what Julio Jones is capable of doing. And actually, one person voted Julio Jones as the number 1 wide receiver on one of their lists. One person voted Julio Jones at, they put Julio Jones at that number 1 spot. So actually, Julio Jones was ranked number 1 for one person who turned in their list. So that's actually pretty cool. So there's one dude out there that still thinks Julio Jones is the best wide receiver in the league. And hey, if you think about it, Julio Jones, just because of an injury, you could argue the fact that he's still the best wide receiver in the NFL. You can't, say, injured, so let's bump him down 4 spots. So that's probably what his argument was for putting Julio at number 1, and I 100% agree with him. Do I think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL? I do not. I think there are at least 3 other wide receivers, in my opinion, that are better than him, and we'll go ahead and get into that list right now. All right, so here's the top 10 list. Excuse Aaron Rodgers here, but it was just an ad. For some reason it's in here. But number 1, you see at the top of the screen, is Davante Adams. So I think Davante Adams is the best wide receiver in the league. It's really, really close between him and DeAndre Hopkins. But I do believe with Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football, he is the best wide receiver in the league. And, I'm not surprised that he's at that number 1 spot. So, yeah, Davante Adams is number 1. We also see DeAndre Hopkins here at number 2. Probably my same 1-2 that I would put here as well. And then we have number 3 with Stephon Diggs. Now, Stephon Diggs, I probably would have him at 3 as well. So the first 3, I 100% agree with. Tyreek Hill at number 4. Tyreek Hill is a fantastic wide receiver. I would probably have him on the bottom half of my list, more like a number 6, number 7, because I do think there are wide receivers better than Tyreek Hill. But Tyreek Hill at 4, hey, it is what it is. A respectable spot to put him at. Then we scroll down here, and we see the rest of the list here. Julio Jones at number 5, with Keenan Allen at number 6. Number 7, Mike Evans. Number 8, Michael Thomas. 9, DK Metcalf. And 10, A.J. Brown. And that's so frustrating to me, because I just think A.J. Brown is better than DK Metcalf. But I think A.J. Brown, by next year, I think he will surpass DK Metcalf. And there's been a lot of, who's better, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf. Whenever there is a post about A.J. Brown or DK Metcalf, the other one gets mentioned. So I think that's really funny. Like, you'll see a DK Metcalf post and someone in the comments with, a pretty solid amount of likes. It says A.J. Brown's better than DK Metcalf, something like that, and you'll see that comment on there. And then you see a post with A.J. Brown on it. You'll see someone down below comment down below, DK Metcalf is better than A.J. Brown, and you'll see some likes of that. So I think it's kind of funny how that works. So obviously they went to Ole Miss together, and there's, I'm sure there's a competitive thing between DK and AJ on who's better, and I'm sure AJ wants to have that upper hand on him. But again, it's all respect at the end of the day. But as of right now, I'm not surprised with them putting DK at 9 and AJ at 10. But I do think AJ Brown is better than DK Metcalf. That's just my opinion. Not being biased or anything. I just think AJ Brown produces more, and he's producing 1,000-yard seasons with a running back that just got 2,000 yards. So you got to put that into consideration as well. DK Metcalf gets much more targets. They're in a pass-first offense. A.J. Brown, like I just said, run first, and doesn't get as many targets as DK Metcalf. So that's another reason I think A.J. Brown is better than DK Metcalf. But we'll go back to number 5. Julio Jones. I think Julio Jones is fairly ranked there at number 5. Again, coming off an injury, I'm not surprised that he dropped that many spots down to number 5. But I would have probably put Julio over Tyreek Hill. In my opinion, I still think Julio Jones is better than Tyreek Hill. Some people could argue that, but it's Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill. I'm taking Julio Jones every day. Keenan Allen is okay at 6. I do like Mike Evans a little bit more than Keenan Allen. So I would probably put Mike Evans above Keenan Allen. Michael Thomas at 8 is fine. Again, we know him pretty much didn't play last year at all. So having him at 8 is fair. I wouldn't have been surprised if he wasn't even on the list, but he is there at number 8. I would probably put Keenan Allen at 7. Tyreek Hill would probably go right behind Julio. Actually, I'd put Tyreek Hill right behind Mike Evans, and then after Tyreek Hill, I'd put Keenan Allen, and then the list follows Michael Thomas, Michael Thomas, A.J. Brown, then DK Metcalf at 10. But like I said, I think Calvin Ridley's really good. So I could have seen. It's really tough to put. It's just really tough to list these guys. That's why they get a lot of people to do this, so you can kind of get a kind of a average of what everyone thinks. So I could have definitely seen Calvin Ridley on the list, but he's not on here, so it is what it is. We kind of see some opinions down here with why some were ranked where they are. And obviously Hopkins, 1,400 yards. There's a reason he's there. Devontae Adams led the NFL with touchdowns. Let's see if there's anything else. Then they get down to here to 3 biggest risers were Stephon Diggs, DK, and AJ. Okay, so that's pretty cool to know. And then we get down to talking about Metcalf a little bit. Justin Jefferson, another guy that could have potentially been on this list. I think he still has another year till he is on here. But they mentioned A.J. Brown with back-to-back 1,000 yards seasons, 19 touchdowns in 30 games. Justin Jefferson, Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson's another guy, Odell Beckham, and then also Chris Godwin down here they mentioned. But we are the only team in the NFL that actually has 2 wide receivers ranked in the top 10. So I think that's super, super awesome. And you guys see down below, the Bucs came close to joining us with Chris Godwin. Obviously, Mike Evans was in the top 10. Chris Godwin came close to getting in the top 10, but was not in the top 10. So that means the Titans have are the only team in the NFL with 2 wide receivers ranked in the top 10. You could argue that any of these guys listed here could have been in the top 10. Now, I think the top 10 list is probably just about the guys that I would put in my top 10. I would just rearrange the order. But Justin Jefferson, I still think he has a year to prove to everybody why he is that dude and why how he is still that dude from his rookie year. He could have definitely been on the list, though. I think he's an incredible talent. Calvin Ridley, same with him. Unbelievable year from Calvin Ridley last year. I could argue that he is better than DK Metcalf, but I'm not going to because I think DK Metcalf is better than Calvin Ridley. But Calvin Ridley is really good, guys. He is really, really good. I wouldn't have been surprised if he was in the top 10. Allen Robinson, I would probably would have thought of Allen Robinson on the top 10 list. No disrespect to him. He's really good. But there's just, I think, 12, 13 other receivers better than him. Odell Beckham, another guy. Again, another injury type guy that, kind of lost his spot. So, again, he's another guy there. But, again, I would probably, the only thing I may change is putting Calvin Ridley over DK, but I probably wouldn't do that because I honestly think DK Metcalf is better. But my list would probably be number 1, Devontae Adams, number 2, DeAndre Hopkins, number 3, Stephon Diggs, number 4, Julio Jones, number 5, Tyreek Hill, 6, Mike Evans, 7, I think I had Keenan Allen, 8, who was at number 8? Oh, Michael Thomas. Arguably, I could knock him out of my top 10, but I'll leave him here. I'll go Michael Thomas, A.J. Brown, and then DK Metcalf at number 10. So that's probably how my list would look. But again, this is ESPN's list. A lot of big-time names put together this list. A lot of football knowledge put together this list. So, again, you got to respect it. And I do. Probably almost the same, probably the same top 10 players I would have in my top 10. So that's pretty cool to see that. And, again, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones both in the top 10. That's pretty awesome to see as a Titans fan. The first time in the franchise's history that has happened. The only team in the NFL with 2 top 10 receivers in the NFL, with a running back who was also ranked at number 1 in the NFL, with a disrespected Tannehill who is not in the top 10. And that's a video, I probably will do a video on that tomorrow. I didn't have the time on Monday to do a video on Tannehill and him not being in the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. That was kind of crazy for me, and I'll probably do a video on that tomorrow. We get the tight ends tomorrow. Y'all let me know, who is the best tight end in the NFL? I think it's Travis Kelce, hands down. Again, there are going to be people that argue it is Kittle, but I think Kittle, just because of his injury this year, kind of like what we saw with Julio, what we saw with Michael Thomas, what we saw with OBJ, they bumped the guys that had injuries down. So I think Kittle will go at 2. Johnny Smith will be somewhere in there in the top 5. Darren Waller probably at 3. Maybe Darren Waller's at 2. Kittle's at 3. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see that. But again, I think Johnny Smith will land in the top 5 somewhere, maybe 6, 7. He's really good. Again, Ferkser, he's not going to be anywhere near that top 10 list in my opinion. But he's got a year to prove that he could be up there this year. So with that being said, let me know down below, again, how you guys feel about this. And then let me know down below who the best tight end in the NFL is. We'll see that tomorrow. So yeah, with that being said, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Until next time, I'll see y'all.